Get out of my room!
Well, let's go get dinner ready. Okay?
Yes.
Follow me.
Am I hungry?
Are you hungry?
Yes.
Okay. We're gonna have hamburgers. Do you want hamburgers?
Yes.
Okay. Sounds favorite.
I don't want to help you. I want to rock in my rocking chair.
We've gotten comfortable with understanding what the needs are of somebody who has a physical disability, you know, as opposed to going back 50 years where if you saw somebody in a wheelchair, like, you didn't look, because that was considered rude, so you ended up just ignoring the person entirely, pretending they weren't even there. You know, now society is, we've gotten to the point where we're much more comfortable with the concept of physical disability. This last real barrier is neurological and developmental disabilities.
If you were teaching a blind person to read, you wouldn't give them written text. You'd give them Braille because they can't see the print words. They need to feel with their fingers the Braille on the paper. And that's the same kind of way with those of us on the spectrum. Is we don't go about reading the world around us, understanding the world in the way non-autistic people do.
Autism is a lifespan condition, so people are struggling and dealing with their autism throughout the course of their lives. So, like all of us, our needs change, and we go through different stages in our becoming adults and professionals and in our relationships. So our needs change.
What is your age?
18.
What's your birth date?
September 12, 1968.
Me, 7. Without support, Ron would have no structure in his life, and without structure, Ron can't function. Structure is extremely important to Ron because he just will not be able to go from one task to the next. He would get stuck on the same task, and he would continue to do the same task until somebody told him to start the next task. So Ron, if you were born in 1968, and it is now 2009.
12 December 12, 2009.
Correct. So how old does that make you? You're not quite full. Your birthday's not till September. So
September 12th. What's your birthday?
I'm August 11th.
What year is your born?
1970. That makes me 38.
Yes.
And that makes you 40, right?
Yes.
Right. Are you up?
Individuals with autism have access to services through the educational system and through our behavioral health system in Pennsylvania through the age of 21. At 21, however, those entitlements fall away, and there are no longer necessarily services available. So that means you're entering as an adult a whole different landscape in the arena of service provision. The other thing that's important to remember too is that you can sometimes find professionals who are willing to work with younger individuals with autism, with children. Once folks hit, though, adolescence, when the behaviors and just someone's physical size, and you see all the changes that come with puberty and all of that, it's much more difficult to find support staff because the behavioral issues can sometimes be much more complex. And the behaviors manifest in some very challenging ways.
You know, nobody goes to school to work with adults. You know, everybody goes to school to work with little kids. Like, I love working with adults. You know, give me a 5-year-old, I have no idea what to do with a 5-year-old. You know? Give me a 25-year-old, fine, that I can figure out.
You will see individuals who are diagnosed with autism who are nonverbal, who have a great deal of difficulty communicating what it is they're experiencing and what they're feeling, what they need, what they're struggling with.
She trusts me, and she knows that in spite of her days, I am still here for her, still here to help her, still here to assist her. So my job is to be here for her and not abandon her. I'm a human crutch. I am a tool at her disposal that when she goes out into the community, she still have the same opportunity, same rights to engage in whatever activity she so chooses to engage in. Holly is an awesome person once you get to know her. And so oftentimes people see the diagnosis and they refuse to get to know the person behind the diagnosis.
These are sometimes the most vulnerable individuals, and I think we have a social responsibility to support and provide opportunities for people to live their best life.
You know, whether it's on a personal, county, state, or national level, I think it's our ethical responsibility to work to provide everybody with that opportunity for a life of quality.
Support is supposed to help a person learn what they need to learn, to experience things in life, and to reach their own personal goals.
Support for individuals with autism is going to be different things at different times. You're going to need to have individuals who are very well trained, who know how to support and assist someone when they're struggling and when they're dealing with some of the things that are inherent in managing the autism. So you need people with clinical skills. But people with autism also need folks who can be there with them as friends, as mentors.
Support is partially role modeling and teaching a person how to address new issues, new situations, how to make friends.
They have a desire, just like anybody else, to have freedom in their life, to have control over their life, to be able to make their own choices in living with support.
Support after high school for adults on the spectrum is extremely important because oftentimes they leave the high school setting, end up going back home. It's frustrating for families at times because they know that their adult can be out in the community, can be working and living a more fulfilled life.
And like Tony, for example, with this job and working on his daily living skills, he could live on his own. And the other scenario would be like having to stay at home and having someone to do things for them all the time.
I think if you want to have somebody's quality of life be impacted in a positive way, you're going to have support, because there needs to be clear-cut, precise directions, and if they are not, we're going to go in the wrong direction and it's going to fail. And if you're going to set someone up to fail, why do it at all?
Nice to meet you.
Hi, I'm Marissa Massaro, and I'm looking for a job at the Canner Kitchen.
Perfect. Why don't you take a seat? All right. So why don't you tell me a little bit about yourself?
Well, I grew up on Long Island most of my life in that part of New York, and I went to school there in Eastern Suffolk, BOCES. Graduated when I was 21 and went to Maryhaven after I graduated until I moved here.
Mm-hmm. Good answer. You know what I also like? Your eye contact. Give me an example of when you had to work as part of a team.
Well, last week when we were here making the ribbons for the autism awareness and cooking.
You actually also are a teacher when you're a support staff because you're teaching people in the community what autism is and giving it a different face than Rain Man, because a lot of people are misinformed and that everyone's different. And so when you can go out with somebody in the community and teach somebody new, this is what autism is, this is how you can react, this is how we react. It's okay for this person to be out in the community. They don't rock back and forth all the time and make funny noises. There's a lot more to them than that. And to teach somebody that is an exciting thing.
A great day with support would be having a person come in and help Alex get up, get washed, get ready for the day, take his medicine. And this would all be possible because he had someone the night before who was helping him get ready for bed, go to bed, change his clothes, get washed, and so that he was able to actually get up in the morning because he wasn't up all night. And the other thing about getting up in the morning is he has a reason to get up. He has something to do. He either has a job, or he has an activity, or he's taking a class. And that person would actually help him negotiate and understand his participation in that.
If you do the right stuff at the front end, you avert the tragedy and the horrible outcomes we see on the other side. So if you pay people well to provide the right kind of support, hopefully we'll see adults who are out in their environments, in their communities, in their work sites, and effective.
I also think as this population of kids gets older, we're going to have to get much, much more creative about how do we really support the needs of that one. What is it that he or she wants to do, and where does he or she want to live? You know, but we also talk about residential placement. You know what? I was never placed in my life. I have a career and a home. You know, that's what it's about. I got to choose both of them. You know, choice is such a vastly under-realized component of quality of life. And if in all your life, all your choices are made for you, I don't see how that at the end of the day ends up to a real individually determined quality of life.
It's very good for the person who has autism to have their family let go, kind of cut the apron strings. As they grow up and mature into adulthood, they need to experience that release from their family to spread their own wings, just like any person needs to feel that. So it's just very important for parents to be aware that if their child has autism, and that they need to be thinking about letting go and giving their child the same dignity of risk that other people experience in our society.
We all want to have faith that we can see our kids progress towards that independence, but not into an arena, letting go in an arena where there aren't people who understand how to meet the needs. Because the consequences of not having individuals who are trained to be at that receiving end when you let go are paramount. They're devastating sometimes. If not me as a parent, then it's got to be someone who I can trust and who he can trust. Critically important.
I think the idea of letting go is wonderful. I actually yearn for the day that I could let go. But I can't let go until there's a plan in place for my son. And that plan is supported by people who understand autism, understand what he's capable of doing, and really helping him get there.
Each step that we take every day is to teach him a skill so that he can become more independent and require less staff support. With someone who has autism to the degree that Ron has autism, we will never completely be able to remove all prompts, but we diminish them over time, and hopefully he'll eventually be able to have a paid job and have meaningful activities in his day.
Support for people with autism who are living independently just needs to be very individualized. It certainly depends on where their strengths are and what their needs are as to how you set a plan into motion. It really requires a team of individuals who can be there for that person.
For Mark, I think he just needed some time to be with guys and to learn from a guy's perspective and to learn male things. Etiquette, when you're out in a social situation with guys, approaching females just in friendship or in a relationship, being able to go to things like baseball games and football games or going to a picnic and throwing football. So we do that, and we just kind of joke around with him, you know, and let him say whatever he feels like saying and ask him the questions he feels like asking instead of feeling like he can't ask. Because a lot of times guys have questions that only guys can really answer. So we kind of let the floor open to him and let him ask whatever he feels like asking him and say it the way he wants to say it instead of feeling like he can't. I can relate to Mark in a unique way. Being that I have cerebral palsy, I too have experienced things like Mark has, and I think I can lend him another eye or another perspective to the same situation, and hopefully I can help him in a different way than somebody who's able-bodied.
I wanted to help serve and support people. I knew that, being in the psychology field, that's what I wanted to do. And actually came across the company and started working as a direct support staff and just fell in love with it, just being able to help people live their lives.
Ensuring that we have good outcomes at the other end, on the tail end of this, requires that we make an investment at the front end. So that means that whatever you invest in terms of setting up appropriate programs and paying staff to appropriately support someone at the front end, and to find people to do this work and pay them appropriately will cost money. But what we are seeing at that tail end, when the supports haven't been there and the crises ensue, is still costing the system. It behooves us to make the investment at the front end.
Since Mark's been living independently, his maturity level has just skyrocketed. He's definitely grown into being an amazing young adult. I think that he really, he loves the community that he lives in. He feels very safe in it, and his feeling of empowerment and control of his own life and the choices that he can make on his own are enormously gratifying for him.
Being a babysitter means you're just doing something for someone else. Ours is really skill building, functional skill building, and understanding the different challenges. We don't do things for our clients, we help them learn to do the skills themselves.
I think that one of the best moments was when Tony gets his first paycheck. That was awesome. That was really great, and just having the feeling that I was being a part of that I supported him to get to that point when he could get his first paycheck, and he was really happy about it. I guess that was the best moment of this job.
It's just as tough as it is for those of us who are autistic to fit in the world. It can be that much tougher for other people to work with us at times. I mean, I recognize that because we have a lot of complexities in how we're interacting with the world, and just understanding that is tough, just as it's tough for us.
We are not serving the system well if we send individuals out without the skills they need to do the work well and appropriately. We are now developing the training. We are developing the standards so that we are also equipping professionals when they're going out into the community to provide the support to know what to do. So it's an exciting time because there's such a focus on that.
To find somebody who's enthusiastic about working with adults and wants to be out in the community, and really sees their job as changing somebody's life. I mean, how cool a gig is that? Like, that your job description has changed somebody's life. Like, I think that's the most overlooked value in what we do. No matter what age you work with this person, it's about changing somebody's life.
This is, I think, some of the most rewarding work that a person can do.
Being able to help somebody learn to communicate is an amazing thing. Being able to help them learn how to ask for a drink or ask for something in the community, to be able to go out to lunch, you're helping them and you're helping their families, because they're able to now go places that they've never been able to go before.
I mean, I don't know that there are too many jobs where you are having such an immediate impact on someone in a positive way in the moment. I mean, I think there are very few professions that, or career paths that afford that.
I do think it's doable. It's not easy. None of this is easy. When I had full-time staff working with me, when they would complain, I'm like, the reason it's hard is why you have a job. Like, if this was easy, anybody would do it.
The days that are the greatest when you're supporting somebody is when you see them accomplish a goal that they wanted to accomplish. Even as simple as getting dressed and picking out clothes that would be socially acceptable for wherever they're going.
It is challenging and rewarding. Every day you never know what you're going to walk into. To know that you've been able to help and impact their lives, it's just amazing and great.
It's rewarding work. To invest your time and your energy and your heart and your mind into helping someone navigate the world is incredible. I can't think of any greater way of giving, but you also take so much away from it.